All of Miami's drug lords team up to hunt down a serial killer terrorizing the city on today's Miami Vice. Honor Among Thieves was directed by Jim Johnson and written by Jack Richardson, and it is a jewel of an episode in the middle of what is otherwise a shaky season, so let's just get into it. We open with a creepy dude named Paul Delgado hanging out in a room filled with vintage dolls while injecting a terrified young girl with cocaine. Delgado is played by John Bowman. He's very good in this role. Delgado has multiple personalities. Throughout this episode, he'll carry on conversations with himself in which he'll speak in a normal voice and seem more or less sane, and then he'll also adopt the personality of one of his dolls, in which he speaks in an eerie, high-pitched voice. He gets a great deal of screen time in this episode, and this is obviously a big, meaty tour de force role for any actor. Delgado has been murdering teenage girls in Miami by injecting them with pure cocaine, then dressing their corpses up like dolls and leaving them in public places. Homicide Lieutenant Jarrell has been facing a non-stop media circus while desperately looking for breaks in the case. Jarrell is played by Dylan Baker, and I gotta tell you, it's a bit of a surprise to have an episode that centers around a creepy dude and guest stars Dylan Baker, and yet Dylan Baker does not play the creepy dude. Baker is a marvelous actor who first got on my radar playing the pedophile in Todd Solondz's Happiness, which was such a deeply committed and unsettling performance that every time I see Dylan Baker in other projects, I automatically assume his character is up to no good. But no, Lieutenant Jarrell is a straight-shooting and conscientious homicide lieutenant with no creepiness to him whatsoever. Castillo offers Jarrell Vice's assistance, though Crockett and Tubbs are currently unavailable. Undercover as Burnett and Cooper, they are currently living at the lavish mansion of a drug lord named Palmo, played by Ramy Zada, who wants to get to know them better before agreeing to do business with them. He sets them up with free tuxedos and toothbrushes, and in a weirdly hilarious running gag, Crockett will keep trotting out his free toothbrush at random intervals for the remainder of the episode. Also, there's a mole somewhere in Palmo's organization who is supposed to approach Crockett and Tubbs at some point and utter a code phrase whereupon they'll know they can trust him. They're living the high life at Palmo's mansion, though they're bored and restless from lack of action. Tubbs keeps picking fights with Palmo's right-hand man Cyrus, played by Gary Basaraba, most recently seen in Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. In the meantime, Delgado keeps lurking at amusement parks and playgrounds and luring teen girls to their doom to the tune of Billy Idol's Sweet 16. Because he's killing them with 100% pure cocaine, it's clear he has some connection to Miami's drug world, so Jarrell and Castillo crack down on the drug lords. At some point, Castillo stops by Palmo's mansion while Crockett and Tubbs are there undercover and impounds Palmo's yacht and shuts down his nightclubs. Police scrutiny is terrible for business for all of Miami's dealers, so Palmo assembles all the drug lords at his mansion and announces that they're going to use all their resources to try to find the serial killer themselves. Everyone agrees to this, including Delgado, who is at the meeting and who is one of Miami's top dealers. The drug lords, Delgado included, fan out across Miami to hunt for the killer while Aerosmith's Ragdoll plays. Crockett, Tubbs, and Cyrus interrogate a lowlife named Benny, played by Jimmy F. Skaggs, who tips them off that a man named Captain George might know something about the killings. Captain George gives them a tip that leads them to the amusement park, where they talk to a man named Rickman, who operates a shooting gallery where the prizes are dolls like one the killer left next to one of the murdered girls. Rickman, who is played by Brian Tarantina, who until his 2019 death was a cast member on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, runs drugs for Delgado. Figuring correctly that this means Delgado is the killer, Cyrus and some goons chase him through the amusement park and catch him. All the drug lords, plus Crockett and Tubbs, assemble at one of Palmo's closed nightclubs, where Palmo announces his intention to put Delgado on mock trial for the murders. Because Crockett, as part of his cover, has been pretending to have a law degree, Palmo asks him to serve as Delgado's defense. While consulting with his client before the trial, Crockett discovers that Delgado is not only a serial killer, he's also Vice's mole, and thus he knows Crockett and Tubbs are cops. If Crockett doesn't get him acquitted at the trial, Delgado will blow his cover. The trial begins, and Crockett, who is not really a lawyer, does a pretty half-assed job of defending Delgado. Tubbs sneaks off to alert Castillo to what's going down, but he's caught by his nemesis Cyrus, who fights him in the club's electrical room, which ends when Cyrus is electrocuted. At the culmination of the trial, Delgado makes a break for it and climbs up to the catwalks. Suddenly believing he can fly, he leaps off and plunges to his death, landing squarely on Palmo and killing him as well. With the exception of those last 10 seconds or so, which are delightfully idiotic, this is a great episode. I love the idea of Miami's drug lords teaming up to track down a serial killer. which is a great idea, and I can't believe no one's stolen it for a film yet. It's beautifully filmed. I love the use of stark white light to create a sense of unease, particularly at Delgado's trial, but also at Palmo's weird dinner party. I like the heightened sense of danger of Crockett and Tubbs being stuck undercover unexpectedly at Palmo's mansion for days, unable to get back in touch with Castillo. The guest stars are great. I mentioned John Bowman's performance earlier, but Ramy Zada, who plays Palmo, and Dylan Baker are also excellent. It's got a couple of highly apropos music choices in Ragdoll and Sweet 16, and apart from the silliness of that ending, I mean, Delgado just lands right on Palmo and squashes him to death. This is great. I'm giving it 5 flamingos. Next time, one of Trudy's friends hires an assassin to kill a rapist. I hope to meet you back here then. In the meantime, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you later. Have a great week.